The front door wasn't locked. It never was. She pushed it open and smelled smoke first. Not fire, just the kind that clung to cotton after someone's been standing too close to the hearth too long. The baby cried low, like it was trying not to be heard. She didn't rush, didn't run, just stepped in slowly, eyes already on the sound. There it was, in her dead mother's parlor, in the corner where the lamp had cracked during the storm last year. A cradle, rocking steady, software too soft. No wind moved it, no foot pushed it, just back and forth, like something unseen was waiting to be seen. A woman sat beside it. She wasn't young, but not old either. Pale dress, hands folded, head tilted like she was listening to the wood creak beneath her. She didn't look up, didn't flinch. The cradle rocked again, and inside, a baby, real, sleeping. And on the baby's thumb, wrapped snug like it was made for it, was the ring. Her brother's childhood ring. The one they found was still warm in the ash pile. The one he never took off, even when it stopped fitting. The one they buried in the box when there was nothing else to bury. She didn't scream. She stepped forward and said, "That ain't yours." The woman didn't answer, just rocked the cradle one more time and finally looked up. Her eyes weren't wild, weren't sad. They looked like someone who knew exactly what they were doing. "Didn't claim it was," the woman said. "You break in here." The door was open. "I didn't leave it that way. Didn't need to." The baby shifted in its blanket. The cradle made no sound now, like the wood had learned not to speak. She moved closer. "Where'd you get that ring?" "It came with her." "She?" The woman nodded. "She didn't cry when I found her, just stared, like she was waiting for a ride." "Who gave her to you?" "No one." "Then how?" She was already in the cradle. Her jaw clenched. She stared down at the baby, pale cheek, wisps of dark hair, chest rising steady like it had always belonged here. "You got a name for her?" she asked. The woman shook her head, didn't ask, didn't speak it. "Where'd you find her?" "By the barn, east of the ash line." Her hand went cold. "That barn's gone." "Only mostly. I burned it, myself." "I know, still smoldering in spots." She crouched beside the cradle, careful not to breathe too hard. The ring gleamed in the lamplight, untouched, perfect. She didn't remember the fire this way. She remembered screams, collapse, the smell of charred nails and broken glass. She remembered a body that wasn't whole, a box that felt too light, a ring wrapped in cloth and given back like a cruel joke. She reached for the baby's hand. "Don't," the woman said. "Why not? She'll wake." Then she wakes. Her fingers brushed the baby's skin, warm, real. The ring was cold. "Is she yours?" she asked again. "No." "She's mine?" The woman didn't answer. She stood up. "You're going to tell me where you got her. You're going to tell me what you saw." The woman stood too, slowly. "I saw a child in a cradle. That's all. No footprints, no blood, no nothing. A cradle, a ring. That's all." She stepped between the woman and the cradle. "Then leave." "I was told to wait." "By who?" The woman didn't blink. "He said you'd know." "Who?" "You know who." She felt something deep in her chest shift, something brittle, old. She stared at the floorboards beneath the cradle. They looked different, warped maybe, swollen, like something had been hidden beneath too long and now it wanted out. "Are you lying to me?" she asked. "No." "You a thief?" "No." "You a ghost?" The woman almost smiled. Not yet. She didn't move, didn't reach for the baby again. Just backed away slowly, like whatever magic held the cradle still might shatter if she breathed wrong. "I want you out of this house." The woman nodded. "Then I'll go." She turned, walked toward the door without hesitation, but just before stepping out, she paused. "She'll cry tonight. You'll want to listen." Then she was gone. Silence filled the room again, heavy, tight. She looked at the cradle. The baby was awake now, eyes open, staring right at her, unblinking. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just stared. The ring caught the light again, brighter this time. She reached down, picked her up. The weight surprised her. It shouldn't have, but it did. The baby didn't resist, just breathed quiet, warm against her neck. She whispered, "If he sent you, you better be more than memory." The cradle kept rocking, though no one was near it now. Rocking slow, Back and forth, milk, smoke, and something else now. The scent of soil, damp and old. She stepped outside. The wind wasn't blowing. The barn was still gone, but something on the horizon flickered, like ash caught in moonlight. She turned back inside, shut the door, and locked it this time. The cradle had stopped rocking. The house had gone still. She didn't sleep that night, not once, just held the baby in the old chair by the stove and stared at the ring until it faded with the morning. The knock came before daylight. One rap, flat, no pause for manners. She opened the door slowly, the baby still curled against her shoulder. The woman stood on the porch again, holding something wrapped in wax paper, her eyes the same as last night, dry, unfazed, like sleep wasn't something she ever needed. "Brought proof," the woman said. She didn't move. "Proof of what?" "Of who she is." She stepped back and let her in. The floor creaked in that same spot near the stove. The woman ignored it, headed straight for the table, unwrapping the paper. Like she was peeling something fragile, a folded page, browned at the edges, torn at one corner. She slid it across the wood. "Go on," the woman said. She laid the baby down on the cushion beside her first. Then I picked up the page, brittle, smudged in places. It looked like it had been wet, then dried stiff. Her eyes landed on the word she didn't want to see. Father, Caleb, and next to it, her brother's full name, written in ink she recognized. His handwriting, tight, hard-pressed like he always did when he was scared or stubborn. Beneath that, Mother, blank. "You fake this?" "No." "You steal it?" "No." "Then how the hell do you get it?" The woman sat down, hands folded again. "It was taped to the cradle when I found her." She stared hard. "And you expect me to believe that?" "No." The woman said, "I expect you to read it." She folded it shut. "You know this paper's illegal," she said. "Not if the child's abandoned." "You know who signs these around here?" The woman nodded. "Sheriff." "You take it to him." "Would he believe me?" "No." "Then you understand." She walked to the stove, turned the knob, let the blue flame pop. Her hands shook, but not from the cold. "He's been dead for 2 years," she said. "Fire doesn't mean death." "I saw the remains." The woman stood. "Then you didn't see right." The baby whimpered behind her. She turned. "Are you saying he lived?" "I'm saying something was left behind." "Are you playing games with me?" "Number, I found a child. I brought her home." "This ain't your home." "Number, but it was his." She stared again at the folded paper. She didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to smell it. But the scent was familiar. Barn dust, hay, sweat. Same as his old jacket she kept in the trunk. Same as the pillow that still carried his neck after all this time. The woman moved toward the baby. She stepped between them. "Don't." "I wasn't going to." "Is she yours?" "No." "Why do you care then?" "Because someone asked me to." "Who?" "Don't know his name." "Are you sure it was him?" The woman didn't blink. Felt like one. She hated how calm the woman was. Hated how her own voice kept catching in her throat. Hated that she was even still talking. "You came here for something," she said. "I came to hand her off." "You want me to raise her?" "I want you to know she's yours." "She ain't mine." "She's blood." "That doesn't mean she's mine." The baby fussed again. Not a cry. Just that soft, broken hiccup babies do when they're half awake and don't like the light. She scooped her back up, pressed the little face into her shoulder. The ring scratched her collarbone. "Do you even ask her name?" she asked. "No." "You didn't hold her." "I rocked. Her." "You didn't sing." "No." "Then you didn't find her." The woman stepped back. "Maybe not." "You just delivered her." "Maybe." She glanced again at the folded paper on the table. "Why bring that?" she asked. "So you wouldn't burn her." "I wouldn't burn a child." "You burned a barn." "That was justice." "Maybe so." She stepped closer, lowered her voice. "I don't care who she is. You should have left her where you found her." "She wouldn't let me." "Babies don't get a choice." "She's not like other babies." She turned her back. "They never are they?" The woman walked to the door. It opened slowly. "She'll cry again tonight," she said. "Then let her. She wants to know what you'll call her." "I won't." The woman nodded once. "Not yet." Then she left. She stood in the silence. The stove is ticking behind her. The baby was breathing against her skin. She placed her on the couch, pulled the blanket tighter, then sat across from her and stared at the folded paper. It didn't move, but it felt like it could. She reached out, unfolded it again. Her brother's name, clear as day. The date was only 3 months before the fire. The signature line, blank. No witness, no seal, no mark. She closed her eyes. I tried to remember something different, a girl he brought by, a letter, a hint, but Caleb never shared. He kept everything in his fists until they broke. The baby coughed. She looked down. I don't believe it, she whispered. The baby stared at the ceiling. She folded the paper in half, stood. I walked to the wood stove, holed the paper out just above the flame, then stopped, lowered it, laid it flat inside the old ledger drawer instead. Not yet, she said. The baby blinked. The wind outside rattled the pane, but no one knocked this time. She didn't want to go, not to him, but the paper wouldn't sit still in the drawer. Every time she passed it, she swore she heard her brother's name again. The baby wouldn't cry, but wouldn't sleep either. Just stared, hours at a time, eyes open wide like she'd been here before and didn't trust it this time around. By mid-morning, she wrapped the baby tight, cradled the paper against her chest, and walked the mile into town. The sheriff's office was half lit, shades drawn. The front door creaked too loud. She stepped in. He didn't look up, just said, "Ain't open for complaints today." "I'm not complaining." He glanced up, took in the baby, the page, her face. "All right," he said, "sit." She stayed standing. "You gonna hand me that, or let me guess?" She passed him the paper. I watched him unfold it slowly, like he already knew what it said. His eyes didn't blink. His fingers ran over the ink. "Where'd you get this?" "A woman brought it." "Who?" "Didn't give a name." "That's convenient." "She found the baby." "In the woods. In my house." He looked up. "You invited her in?" "No." He sighed. Folded the paper again, crisp like he'd done it before. "You remember the fire?" he asked. "Every part." "Then you know he's not coming back." She didn't speak. He leaned back in his chair. "You think this baby's his?" She nodded once. "That's impossible." "Why?" "Because we scraped what was left of him off the floor." She stepped forward. "Have you ever seen the ring?" "What ring?" "His childhood ring." "No." "I found it on her thumb." "Who's her?" She moved the blanket down, showed the baby's hand. Small, clean, and there it was, shining, like it hadn't been touched by dirt, or blood, or time. He stood. "That's not possible. You said the same thing about the baby." He walked to the cradle by the heater. She'd carried it in, left it near the wall. The wood was quiet now, not rocking. He crouched, stared at it like it was a coffin. "This looks like hers," he muttered. "Whose?" "Mary Ellison. She died 20 years back." "I know." Her cradle burned. "Not all of it." She stepped back. "You keeping things from me?" He didn't answer, just kept staring. "You knew Caleb was seeing someone?" "No." "Are you lying?" "I'd tell you if I did." She crossed her arms. "You burned his name in the town ledger." "He asked me to." "When?" 2 weeks before the fire." She blinked. "Why?" "Said it wasn't safe for the child." "What child?" "I didn't ask." "You didn't ask?" He straightened up. "We don't ask questions when people start erasing themselves. We just try to keep things quiet." She swallowed hard. "You covered for him." "I buried what he wanted buried." "And now?" He looked at the cradle. "Now it's back." She handed him the folded paper again. "Sign it." "I can't." "You're the sheriff." "It needs 2 witnesses." "Find one." "They'll ask who the mother is." "She didn't sign." "That's the problem." He rubbed his jaw. "Sit back down." "You want to keep her?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. "Are you planning to raise her?" "I don't know." "She's yours now. You know that?" "I didn't ask for that." He pointed at the paper. "He did." She flinched. "You're saying this is on purpose." "I'm saying he planned things more than you knew." She sat. The baby stirred. "Sheriff," she said softly. "Yeah." "She doesn't cry." He looked up. "What do you mean?" "She doesn't cry. At all. Not once." He was quiet. She whispered, "I think she did." He leaned in. "What?" "I think she already cried, wherever she was before." He didn't speak. She looks at me like she's waiting. For what? I don't know. They sat there a long while. The baby's breathing filled the room. Finally, the sheriff said, "I'll hold on to this." "No." "You don't trust me?" "I don't trust history." He smirked, sad. "Fair." She stood, lifted the baby again. He looked at the ring one more time. "Have you ever tried to take it off?" "I did." "Did it come?" "No." "Good." She narrowed her eyes. "Good. Means it's hers." She walked to the door. I opened it halfway, then turned back. "You knew more than you let on," she said. He nodded. "I did." "Are you keeping anything else from me?" "I'll know when you're ready to hear it." She stepped out into the sun. It didn't feel warm. Back at the house, the woman was gone, but the porch smelled like matches, like something had been lit and then put out too quickly. The baby stirred once in her arms, made a sound like breath through a cracked window. She carried her inside, set her back in the cradle, watched the ring glint in the light. Then she sat by the stove, folded the paper again, tighter this time, like she could keep the truth from falling out of it. She found the woman waiting by the gate again. Same pale dress, same stillness. The stranger didn't knock this time, just nodded once, turned, and walked down the path toward the mill road. Didn't speak, didn't glance back. Just kept walking like she'd always known this part would come next. She followed, not because she trusted her, not because she was ready, because the cradle hadn't rocked since the day before. The baby hadn't blinked, and in the silence of the house, she'd started to feel watched. The road curved near the river bend, past the ruins of the old mill. The building sagged in on itself like it had been burned, then decided to stay that way out of shame. Past that, nothing but dust and split-rail fencing and a house she hadn't seen in years. She remembered stories. A woman who never spoke, a healer once, then a witch, then something in between. The stranger stepped up to the door and knocked once. Footsteps creaked behind the wood. The door opened slowly. The woman stood there. Not old, not young. Face torn, healed over crooked. One eye soft, the other glazed like it hadn't seen in years. A long scar ran from brow to jaw, then vanished into her collar. Her mouth didn't move, but her head tilted, and she smiled like someone remembering a name not spoken aloud in decades. She didn't say a word. "She's been waiting," the stranger said. The baby shifted in her arms, the ring catching light again. A small sound escaped her, half a cry, more air than voice. The scarred woman stepped aside. Let them in. The house smelled of cedar smoke and vinegar. Herbs hung in bundles from the rafters. No furniture except a table with a rusted needle stuck through cloth. Red thread still looped like it had been dropped in the middle of something urgent. The woman moved to it. Saturday, picked up the thread, and started stitching again. "What's she doing?" she asked. The stranger didn't answer. The scarred woman looked up. "Hold the cloth out. Names. Dozens of them. Some smudged, some clear, some misspelled words, all stitched in red. At the bottom, one fresh line, still being formed." She stepped closer. Her brother's name, Caleb, threaded in a tight, uneven hand. She froze. "What is this?" "She sews the ones who were promised," the stranger said. "Promised for what?" "To return." "To what?" The stranger didn't answer, just nodded toward the child. The baby cooed again. The sound wasn't soft this time. It cracked the room like thunder in a closed barn. The scarred woman looked up, her one good eye locked on the baby. She reached slowly. She stepped back. "Don't touch her." "She won't," the stranger said. "She can't." The woman hummed, not a song, a sound that looped, rhythmic, like a name without syllables. The baby stopped moving, just listened. She moved toward the table. "You knew Caleb." The woman didn't speak. "She sewed his name." "She remembers everyone who came," the stranger said. "Where did you come from?" "Here, before fire, before burial." She looked down at the cloth again. So many names. Some she knew. Others unfamiliar but painful to read. At the bottom, below Caleb's, another was half-formed. She leaned closer. It was the baby's name, the one not yet spoken, not written, but it was forming now. Letter by letter, red thread looping into flesh-colored cloth. "No," she whispered. "That's not hers. She stitched the name onto her own skin once," the stranger said. "For a girl that didn't survive." She did what? The scarred woman stood slowly, turned her back, slid the collar down her shoulder. Letters, scarred in, old, warped, faded in places. The name was hers, her own name, sewn into the woman's back. She stepped back, nearly dropping the baby. What the hell is this place? Where things begin again? The stranger said. Number this is madness. The woman turned, humming again. The baby stirred. Then I cried. Loud. First real cry. The scarred woman's lips trembled. The song stopped. She sat down fast, picked up the cloth, started stitching again, faster now. What's she doing? She's finishing it. Why? So the girl lives. I didn't ask for this. No one ever does. The baby reached out a hand, toward the table, toward the needle. The ring glinted. The woman grabbed the baby's wrist gently, pulled it back. Enough, she said. The stranger looked at her. For the first time, something like sadness crossed her face. She's not a curse, the stranger said. I didn't say she was. You're acting like she is. She turned for the door. She's a child. She needs a bed, not a sewing needle. She needs a name. She'll get one, from me. She walked out fast. Wind slapped the trees outside. The baby settled again, quiet in her arms. Inside, the hum began again. Low, slower this time. She didn't look back, didn't speak, but in her chest, something sharp twisted, because the cry had been real, and it didn't sound like a child's first. It sounded like a woman remembering the last time she had one. She didn't tell the sheriff where she was going, didn't tell the stranger. Just left before dawn, the baby swaddled tight against her chest, a spade in one hand, matches in the other. The road back to the old foundation cut through frostbitten grass and half-dead fence lines. Her boots stayed behind on the porch. She needed to feel the ground. The barn hadn't been touched, still blackened, still stinking of soaked ash and trapped heat, even 2 years after the fire. They said it would all fade. It hadn't. The soil still held it, like memory. Bitter, stuck deep. She set the baby down just outside the beam line, far from where the roof collapsed. Then she stepped into the burn. Her feet sank into cinders, still soft, still shifting like breath. She knelt, dug with bare hands at first, then the spade, scraped until her nails cracked, until blood mixed with soot. There had been letters once, his coat, a belt buckle, all gone now, but she knew where he kept it. She clawed beside the old corner beam. I felt something hard, pressed deeper, metal. She pulled it out, wiped it on her dress. A ring, untouched. No scorch, no warp, no black, just shining silver. Still warm somehow. She sat there, legs tucked under, cradling the thing like it was still tied to a finger. Behind her, the baby cooed. She whispered, "You never left it, did you?" The sheriff's truck rolled up slowly on the gravel. She didn't turn, just listened to the engine cut. His boots sank into the ash beside her. "You always dig alone?" he asked. "Only when it's blood." He crouched. I looked at the ring in her hand. "I remember that," he said. "He never took it off." "He didn't. I told them to find it, after the fire. They said it was gone." "They didn't dig right." He reached down, picked up the ring, turned it in his fingers. "Hold it to the light." "It stayed clean," he said. "Like it didn't belong to the fire." "It didn't." They sat in silence. He finally asked, "You think she came from this?" "She wears it like it's sewn to her." "You tried to take it off?" "No." "Smart." She held out a piece of cloth, white, stained on one end from where she'd bit her palm to keep from crying when they buried the empty box. She wrapped the ring in it slowly. "Belongs to her now." The sheriff stood. "You gonna tell her?" "She already knows." "You gonna raise her?" "I already am." "She ain't normal." Neither was Caleb. He smiled. Sad. Number he wasn't. She stood too. Picked up the baby. Slipped the cloth-wrapped ring into her own coat pocket. The baby blinked once, looked toward the scorched beam like she knew where the fire started. The sheriff glanced back at the blackened walls. "You sure you want to keep coming here?" "No." "Then why are you?" "Because it's still holding something." He nodded. "Want help?" "No." He stepped back. "Can you find anything else?" Number just the truth. "That's always heavier." She turned. "What did he tell you before the fire?" "Not much." "Tell me anyway." He kicked at the ash. Said he was scared of what was coming. Said he had to bury something before someone else claimed it. Did you ask what it was? I did. And? He said, you'll know when you hear her cry. She stared at the ground. The baby hadn't cried since the mill house, since the woman with half a face hummed her name through needle and thread. The sheriff moved to his truck, opened the door, paused. I'll keep quiet, but I can't protect you if this goes wrong. She turned. You never did protect me. He looked down. Number I didn't. She watched him drive off. The dust behind him swallowed the road. She sat again beside the burned beam, ran her fingers over the place the ring had lain. There was a mark there, not deep, just enough to know something had rested there too long. She looked at the baby. You came from silence. The baby didn't blink. You wear a piece of someone who never broke. The wind shifted, blew smoke from a place no fire burned. She stood. Let's go home. Back at the house, she lit the stove, heated water, and bathed the baby slowly, rubbed the cloth between her fingers. The ring stayed hidden, but she felt it pressing through the fabric, like it didn't want to be wrapped. She placed it on the mantel. Let it catch light. The baby watched it, calm, not reaching, just watching. She sat across from her, folded her hands, tried to remember if Caleb ever spoke of a girl, a name, a future, but he'd always been quiet, always writing things in notebooks and hiding them under floorboards. She stood, pulled one up, nothing. Second one, empty. Third, click, a space. Inside, paper wrapped in wax. She opened it. 2 words. If she cries, run. She folded the paper shut, burned it on the stove. She picked up the ring, pressed it gently back on the baby's thumb. The baby smiled, and outside the barn, long dead, creaked like it remembered everything. She waited until the baby slept, waited until the wind outside stopped testing the shutters and the ring stopped catching light. The house was quiet now, but not still. There was a tension under the floor, under the walls, like someone had whispered a secret too loud and the boards were holding their breath. She got on her knees. The third plank in the hallway always groaned when stepped on. Caleb used to pause there, just long enough to pull a face. Said it sounded like the house had arthritis. That board was looser than the rest. She dug her fingers underneath and pried it up. Nails pulled easy. It had been opened before. Inside, dust, mouse droppings, one rusted nail, and a letter, sealed. No stamp, no envelope, just a page, folded tight, bound with twine. She picked it up and turned it over. To whoever's left, written in her brother's script. She didn't move, not for a breath, not for 2. Then she walked back to the stove, lit the lamp, and sat at the kitchen table. She untied the twine, unfolded the letter. It was short, like Caleb always was. To whoever's left. If they bring the child back, don't let her cry near the barn. There's something in the ash that listens. It's not her fault, but it doesn't know that. If she cries there, it might finish what it started. I'm sorry. I didn't bury it deep enough. She let the letter fall to the table. The stove crackled behind her. The baby shifted in the cradle but didn't wake. She stood slowly and walked to the window. The moon had cut through the clouds now. Pale and sharp, she looked toward the barn. The door swung open. Once, twice, but there was no wind. She whispered, no, and then louder, no. She turned back to the cradle. The baby slept, chest rising slowly, hand curled near her cheek. The ring sat crooked on her thumb. She sat again, folded the letter, slid it into the drawer beneath the sink, far from the cradle, far from her coat, far from the truth. She lit another match, hold it over the ring for a second just to see if the metal reacted. It didn't. It never did. She blew the match out. The cradle rocked once. She hadn't touched it. She walked toward it, slow, knelt, held the baby's tiny wrist, gentle. The skin was warm. The pulse is steady. She whispered, I'm not going to lose you. Outside, the barn door slammed. She flinched. The cradle didn't stop. The baby stirred and let out one soft cry. Not loud, not angry, just enough. She rushed to the window. The barn was dark, but she could feel it, the hum. Low, faint, like something big, buried, remembering how to wake up. She threw the front door open. I walked barefoot down the porch steps. The grass was sharp with frost. The barn door was shut now, but the hum hadn't stopped. She walked halfway to it. stopped, waited. "Whatever you are," she said aloud, "she's not part of it." The wind didn't answer, but the ground seemed to twitch beneath her feet. She turned back. The stranger stood at the edge of the trees. Same dress, same eyes. "You read it?" The woman said. "Yes." "You believe it?" "I don't know." She cried. "I know." The stranger tilted her head. "Then it's listening." She wanted to scream, wanted to drag the cradle out into the road and run until the world stopped having barns and letters and rings that didn't burn. Instead, she asked, "What happens if it wakes?" The woman stepped closer. "That's not up to you. She's just a baby. She's just a memory." The baby cried again. Inside, the barn's groan followed it. She turned, ran back to the house, shut the door, locked it twice. The cradle was still. The baby blinked up at her, calm. She didn't cry again. She reached into the drawer, pulled out the letter, and read it once more. Didn't cry, but her hands shook as she folded it again. She stood at the stove, stared into the flame. "If it comes to her," she whispered, "it'll have to come through me." Behind her, the cradle rocked once more, but the baby didn't move. And outside, the barn door stopped swinging, because whatever was inside had begun to listen. She knew before the sound even finished what it meant. The baby cried once, not a whimper, not a fuss, but a full, sharp wail that split the house like lightning through rotted beams. And the barn answered. She heard it groan, deep, long, wood shifting in a way it shouldn't. It hadn't done that since the fire. She dropped the kettle, ran. Out the front door, barefoot, dress sticking to her legs, the frost biting through her soles. The barn stood crooked in the moonlight, silent again, like it hadn't just spoken. She pushed the door. It opened too easily. Inside, cold hit her like a breath from an open grave. Ash clung to the walls, floor soaked in old black stains. The beams overhead hung crooked, like something heavy had been here too long. Then came the smell. Metal. Wet. She moved deeper. Footprints in the soot, small ones, ran from the threshold to the center post. Not hers, not Caleb's, the baby's. She reached the beam, stopped. There it was. Blood, dry, flaked but still thick on the wood, and above it, carved deep. "Forgive me, but not her." She touched the carving, fingers trembling. The grooves are still sharp. "Who did this?" she whispered. Behind her, the barn door creaked. She turned. No one, but something moved, a whisper of wood, a soft rock. She spun again, and there it was. The cradle. In the barn, not in the house where she'd left it. Rocking. Empty. She stepped toward it. No. The cradle rocked harder. The beams above shifted. She backed away. "This isn't right," she whispered. The wind blew through the cracks in the siding. The ash on the floor stirred, and something under it moved. She dropped to her knees. Dug. The ash was deeper than before, wet underneath. She clawed until her fingers hit something solid. Wood. She scraped around. A box. Small. Handmade. She pried it open. Inside, cloth. Burnt. And, under that, another ring. A second one. Blackened. Melted. Not like the baby's. This one had burned. She held it in her palm. Cold. Then she heard the sound again. A baby's cry, but it wasn't coming from the house. It came from above. She looked up. The loft. She hadn't been up there since Caleb's boots caught fire on the ladder rung. She climbed. Each step cracked, but it didn't break. The top was coated in dust and something else. A blanket. Heron from childhood. She picked it up. Beneath it, a doll. Head split, eyes missing. She dropped it. The cradle rocked louder below. She leaned over the loft edge. It stopped. The barn went still. Then something moved in the shadows by the rear wall. A shape, not walking, just there. She froze. The air thinned. Then the figure stepped forward. Not fully formed, not male, not female, but shaped like memory, ragged, charred. It raised one hand, not to threaten, to the point. At the wall. She climbed down, slow, heart slamming against ribs. She turned to where it pointed. Another carving, older, almost buried beneath soot. She scraped at it with her nails. Words emerged. "If she cries here again, it stays." She stepped back. The figure was gone. The cradle didn't move, but the ring in her pocket burned now. Not warm. Hot. She dropped it. It hit the floor with a sound too loud for metal. The ash swallowed it. She reached for the cradle. Empty, but warm. She whispered, "Where is she?" Then a cry. From outside, she ran. Out the barn, across the yard, back to the house. The baby was there, on the porch, in her arms again. But the arms weren't hers. The scarred woman rocked her. Software slow. Eyes closed. Humming. She stopped when she saw her. Stood. Handed the baby over. Didn't speak. Just turned and walked toward the woods. The baby was quiet now. Breathing even. The ring is still on her thumb. The other ring is gone. She stepped inside, locked the door, laid the baby down, sat at the table, hands covered in ash, her chest heaving. She unfolded Caleb's letter again. Read the line. Don't let her cry near the barn. She hadn't. The house had. The cradle had. She lit the stove, burned the blanket from the loft, then sat on the floor beside the cradle. I watched the baby sleep. Outside, the barn stayed silent. For now. She showed up before dawn, coat half-buttoned, hair wet from the well, the baby wrapped tight to her chest. The sheriff's truck was out front, engine still ticking. He opened the door before she could knock. "You ain't slept," he said. "I don't sleep when lies are walking." He sighed. Let her in. Lit the stove. Didn't ask if she wanted coffee. She didn't sit. "You said Caleb died in that fire." "I did." "You lied." He didn't answer. She stepped closer. The cradle moved on its own. The barn speaks. The baby's ring doesn't burn. There's a name carved into the beam that says not to forgive her. And there's blood in the ash that isn't his. His hand stayed on the kettle. "Say something." "Are you sure you want it?" "I came barefoot through the frost to make sure I heard it." He nodded once, sat slow. "He didn't die in the fire." She didn't move. He started it. Then he vanished. "You said the body was too burned to tell." "I said it was unrecognizable. I didn't say it was his." Her jaw locked. "We buried a box of bones. Could have been a deer. Could have been nothing. You let me believe." "You needed to. You needed me to stay quiet." He didn't deny it. She leaned forward. "What did he leave in that barn?" He looked at her. Real now, like a man finally stripped of badge and title and bluff. "A name." She blinked. "Whose?" "I don't know." "You expect me to believe that?" "I don't care what you believe anymore. You came for the truth. That's it." She unwrapped the baby's blanket, showed the sleeping girl. "This." He stared at her. "I think so." Caleb had a child. I think he had something else, and he didn't want it named. She sat down. Hard. The chair groaned. "He wrote to me," she said. "Said if she cried near the barn, it would come." He nodded. He was afraid of what it would do. "Said he tried to bury it." "What?" "The name. The thing behind it. He said names can bind things. Or free them. Like scripture. Like something older." She stared at the floor. "The baby cried once. In that barn." "I know." The cradle appeared there. He nodded again. "I saw the prints." "You were watching." "I always watch." She stood, paced. Her boots left wet prints on his floor. "You lied to me for 2 years. I protected you." "You protected yourself." "Both, probably." She faced him. "So what now?" "That depends on what you plan to do with her." "She's a baby. She's something inside a baby." She smiles. She sleeps. "Does she blink?" She didn't answer. He stood. "You're gonna raise her like nothing's wrong. I'm gonna raise her like she's mine. And when she asks about him, she'll know he burned his name and left behind everything that mattered." He poured 2 mugs of coffee, set one in front of her. "You know the old well?" he asked. "Which one?" "The one behind the schoolhouse. The one they bricked over." "Yeah." "Caleb went there before the fire." "For what?" "He dropped something in it." She stared. "A page," he said. "Folded. Sealed. He told me if I ever heard her cry, I'd know where to go." "You kept this from me." "I kept it from the town." "That's not the same." He looked at the baby. She has his eyes. She doesn't. She will. She took the coffee, sipped. It tasted like ashes. "Why now?" she asked. "Why tell me now?" "Because something's waking up." She nodded. It already did. He walked to the window, stared at the frost on the grass. "He told me the name wasn't hers, that someone gave it to her." "Who?" "I don't know. He wouldn't say." He burned it? He tried. She stood. Names don't burn easy. No, he said. They stick to things. She stepped toward the door. Where are you going? To the well. He nodded. Don't go alone. She looked over her shoulder. I'm never alone anymore. The baby yawned. The sheriff's face cracked just for a moment. Do you ever think he wants you to find her? I think he wanted me to decide. Decide what? If I'd love what scares me. She walked out. The cold slapped her face, but it didn't reach her chest. The baby slept, and the barn, far in the distance, tilted slightly more than it had the night before, like something inside had shifted, or sat up. She heard the knock before it landed, just the air shift, a heaviness by the porch rail. When she opened the door, the scarred woman stood there, same ruined cheek, same stitched mouth, but this time her lips moved. She's not sleeping, the woman said. It was the first voice she'd heard from her, rough, unsteady, like bark peeled off a dead tree. She just blinked, she replied. That's not sleep. The scarred woman stepped inside without asking, stopped at the cradle. I looked down at the baby. She's almost ready. For what? To remember. She moved between them. You didn't speak before. I do now. Why? She woke me. The cradle creaked once. The baby didn't stir. What do you want? She asked. To give you a name. She doesn't need one yet. She already has one. Number she doesn't. The woman looked up. He gave it to her. Caleb? The woman nodded. She crossed her arms. It was never in the letter. He carved it, into bone. What bone? Hers. She stepped back. You're lying. The woman shook her head. He named her after himself. But it's a girl. Exactly. Silence thickened. You mean Caleb? She asked. He named her Caleb? No. Then what? His first name, the one he never used. Her breath caught. That name's gone, she whispered. He buried it. Number he passed it. She turned to the cradle. The baby blinked, not fast, just once, too slow to be instinct. Tell me the name, she said. I don't speak it. Why? The woman's voice dropped, because it listens when it's said out loud. The air chilled. She moved toward the cradle, pulled the blanket higher over the baby's chest. I've held her, fed her, named her in my head a dozen times. None of them will stick. I decide what sticks. The woman tilted her head. Do you? Outside, the wind picked up. A whistle ran across the siding, then a sound inside it, something low, like a name trying to form in the throat of a buried thing. They both turned. The window pane quivered. The wind spoke again. Longer this time, a drag of syllables, unnatural, deep. Her knees locked. Did you hear that? The woman nodded. She's listening again. She rushed to the window. Nothing outside. No leaves, no birds, no movement. Just the barn, leaning slightly. Still. Too still. She spun. What name did he give her? The woman stepped toward the cradle, laid her hand gently on the frame, then said one word. Low, slow. Not in English. Not in anything she recognized. The floor groaned beneath them. The baby stirred. No, she said. Don't say it again. I only say it once. The baby's eyes opened. Too wide. Too quiet. She stepped back. Take it back. You can't. I don't accept it. The woman met her gaze. You don't have to. She turned to the baby. You are not him. The baby blinked once. I saw him burn. She whispered. I buried what was left. You buried what he gave up, the woman said, not what he passed on. The wind outside shifted again. This time, no name. Just breathe. The cradle rocked. The woman placed her other hand on the edge. You remember what Caleb said, she said. He said if she cried in the barn. No. Before that, she thought. He said I'd know when I heard her cry. The baby cooed. Soft now. Not loud enough to wake a house, but just enough to wake me up. The woman whispered, she's not repeating to him. She's continuing him. She shook her head. Number he was running from something. He wasn't. He was planting it. She moved fast, pulled the baby from the cradle, held her close. The ring scratched her skin. I'll rename her, she said. I'll say it loud every day. She won't answer. I'll burn the cloth. It won't ash. I'll cut the thread. It's already woven. She stared. Then I'll leave. She'll take it with her. I don't care. The woman nodded. That's the first true thing you've said." The baby laid her head on her shoulder, silent, breathing, warm. The woman turned. I walked to the door. Before stepping out, she said, "He didn't give her the name to bind her." "Then why?" "To protect her." The door closed behind her. The wind stopped. The house held its breath. She sat with the baby on the floor. I watched the cradle rock itself still and whispered her own name. Over and over. Software refusing to say this. She woke to the scream. Not the baby's this time, but the stranger's. Sharp, humans, splitting through the house like the sound had been waiting years to get out. It didn't echo. It stuck. She ran to the spare room where the woman had been sleeping since the frost came in. The door was half open, hinges humming. Inside, the stranger was sitting up, clutching her face, rocking, muttering fast like the words were burning her mouth on the way out. "Hey," she said, "hey." The woman froze. Then I looked up, her eyes wide, wet, wild. "She's not yours," the stranger said. "What?" "She's not yours." The baby whimpered from the cradle in the next room. "She's his debt," the woman spat. "Not your blood." She stepped forward. "What did you see?" "He gave her a name, not a blessing." "What name?" The woman shook her head. "You shouldn't say it. He said not to say it." "Caleb?" The stranger nodded. Then the words came fast, flooding. He came to us, bleeding, cold, said he broke a seal, said the cradle moved before she was born, said the ash hummed with her name. He begged to trade it back, said he'd burn himself if it meant she'd stay empty. Empty? No name, no root, no tie. She crouched. "What are you talking about?" The woman gripped her wrists. "Your brother was born with something watching him. He thought he could smother it. Instead, he passed it." She shook her head. "He never told me. He wasn't allowed to." "Who told him?" The woman blinked. "The one who stitched the first name into his spine." She went cold. "The scarred woman." The stranger nodded. The baby cried again, sharper. "She's listening," the woman whispered. "Let her. Number, you don't want her to hear this." "She already knows." The woman stared at the ceiling. He came to the woods, cut his palm, marked a circle, said the name out loud 3 times, offered his life to cut the line. But the wind didn't take it. The ground didn't open. Only the barn groaned. And what happened then? He ran. She stood. The baby's cry faded to a whimper. She stepped into the living room. The sheriff stood by the hearth, hats off, matchbook in one hand. "You knew?" she asked. He didn't answer. "You knew Caleb tried to kill something in that barn and failed." He struck a match, watched the flame. "I asked you," she said. "You said he was scared." He was. "You said he was trying to protect something." He was. He dropped the match into the wood stove. It caught on fast. "He gave her a name that doesn't belong to flesh," she said. "He gave her time," the sheriff replied. "Bought it on his own." The stranger appeared in the doorway, pale, shaking. "She's not a child," she said. "She's an inheritance." "She has my blood now," the woman snapped. "I don't care what she carries." The sheriff stared at the barn through the window. "It's humming again," he said. They listened. And it was. A low, slow thrum under the earth. Barely sound. More like pressure. The sheriff opened the drawer by the stove, pulled out the paper. Caleb's old letter. "He burned his name," he said. "But not hers." She stepped closer. "What are you going to do?" "End what he started." "With fire?" The matchbook flipped open again. "If she cries while it burns," he said, "don't let her near the door." "Why?" "Because she'll hear it call her back." She stared at him. "You said you'd protect her." "I said I'd protect you." The baby was silent now. Too silent. She stepped over to the cradle. Empty. The sheriff turned. "She's already in the barn," the stranger whispered. "No," she breathed. "No, I locked the door." "You thought you did." She bolted outside, barefoot again, cold biting harder now. The barn door was open. Inside, smoke. But not from new fire. Old smoke. Memory smoke. The kind you taste more than smell. She stepped through the doorway. The baby stood in the center, not crawling, standing. Cradle behind her, still. And the beam overhead groaned like something was lowering itself back into its place. She stepped forward. "Don't say her name," the sheriff called behind her. "I won't." "She's not crying," the stranger whispered. "No," she said. "She's listening." The baby looked up at her, eyes too still, too deep. She knelt, held her arms out. The baby blinked, once, then twice, then walked forward, one step, then two, and collapsed into her chest. Just a baby again. She held her, tight, tighter. The sheriff stood at the threshold, match ready, but the barn didn't move again. Not that night. She didn't sleep after the barn. She watched the baby through the night, watched the tiny chest rise and fall, watched the eyes flutter shut and open again as if checking the air for whispers. The ring on her thumb sat still, unmoving, like a weightless lock that never cooled. By dawn, she made a decision. She picked up the cradle and carried it outside. Not to the barn, to the porch. The baby stayed asleep in her arms. She had laid her down inside it, just wood and cloth and breath now. Then she stepped back. "Let the night take it," she muttered, "if it dares." The wind picked up almost instantly, fast, suddenly, hard enough to make the porch groan, hard enough to rattle the tin on the roof. The ring glowed, not bright, just enough to make the wood look older than it was. The baby didn't cry, didn't move, just stared. The scarred woman appeared at the edge of the yard, as always, and silent, waiting, like she'd stepped out of the land itself. "She's waiting," the woman said. "For what?" she asked. The scarred woman looked at the cradle. "For you to choose what burns this time." She stepped forward, jaw clenched. "I already burned the barn. I already buried Caleb." The woman said nothing. "She's not fired. She's flesh. She's both. She's not cursed. She's chosen." "By who?" "By you. The second you didn't look away." She looked down at the baby, calm, too calm. "She hasn't cried since the barn. She doesn't need to." "I thought that meant she was safe." The woman stepped closer. "No one's safe until something is ash." She turned to the sheriff, who stood by the gate now, hands in his coat, eyes on the porch. She hadn't seen him arrive. "What do you think?" she asked. He didn't blink. "I think she wants to see what you'll give up." "I've given up enough." "Number you've delayed. There's a difference." She picked up the cradle, moved it off the porch, set it down in the dirt, watched the ring dim. "Nothing happened," she said. The scarred woman stepped forward, crouched beside the cradle. "She's tied to the name, the one Caleb buried, the one you refused to say." "I won't." "Then burn it." "Burn what?" The woman pointed to the house. "The paper, the floorboard, the ring, the cradle. Pick one." She looked around. The wind stopped. Stillness crept in like smoke, heavy, thick. The baby blinked once. She took the cradle back to the porch, then went inside, opened the drawer, pulled out Caleb's letter, walked back out and held it over the porch rail. "This?" she asked. The scarred woman shook her head. "The ring." The sheriff stepped forward. "You know what it is." She looked down. "The cradle." "I built this," she whispered. "No," said the sheriff. "You kept it." She laid the baby on a blanket, lifted the cradle. I walked to the center of the yard. The scarred woman stepped back. The sheriff struck a match. "Hold it out." She touched it to the corner of the cradle. The dry spot under the frame caught fast. Flames climbed. The baby didn't cry. The wind didn't blow. The cradle burned steadily, silent. Ash lifted like breath from old lungs. The ring sat in the blanket, untouched. She picked it up. "Hold it to the light. Still clean. Still hers." The scarred woman said, "Now speak her name." She didn't. She wrapped the ring in cloth and placed it back on the baby's thumb. The baby smiled. The sheriff lowered his head. "She's still listening," he said. "Let her," she replied. They stood until the cradle was nothing but cinders. Then she carried the baby inside, left the ash where it lay. She placed the ring on the mantel, lit the stove. Then I walked to the porch alone. The wind returned, gentle this time, not carrying a name, just air, just night. She sat, waited. The baby slept. The scarred woman vanished, and for once the house felt still, not silent, just steady, as if something had been waiting to leave, and finally did. Dawn came slowly, pale, with no heat. She stood barefoot in the kitchen, holding the baby against her shoulder, eyes half open, breath fogging the glass. The stove had gone out sometime in the night. She hadn't noticed. The cold didn't bother her anymore. The cradle is gone now, burned down to silence and black ash in the yard. but the air still smelled faintly of cedar and singed thread. The wind hadn't come back since. The barn had gone quiet. She shifted the baby in her arms. I felt loose. The ring. It slipped off with no resistance, fell into her palm like it didn't belong there anymore. She held it up. No glow, no heat, just a smooth band, dull in the weak morning light. She stared at the baby's hand. Small fingers curled into a soft fist. She outgrew it, she whispered. The baby didn't respond, just watched her, eyes wide, clear, fixed. No blinking, no breath held, no twitch, just watching. She placed the ring on the mantel beside the stove. Didn't wrap it, didn't hide it. Let it sit like a button off an old coat. Something that once held meaning, but no longer fit. Outside, gravel shifted. The sheriff's truck rolled in, quiet. She stepped onto the porch. He didn't get out right away. When he did, he walked slowly. No papers, no matchbook, no gun, just a badge. He climbed the steps, placed it gently on the top step, didn't say a word. She looked down at it. Weathered, scratched, still warm from his hand. "You sure?" she asked. "I'm not a sheriff anymore," he said. "Not to what lives here." She picked it up, hold it for a second, then set it next to the ring inside. He watched her. She changed. She stopped needing it. He nodded. "She hasn't blinked since the fire." "Not once." "Not once." He glanced toward the barn. "It's quiet." I think it finally got what it wanted. What was that? Not a name, not a body. Then what? Someone to stay. He looked at the baby, curled against her chest, eyes open and steady. "She knows," he said. "She always did." He stepped back. "You need anything?" "No," she said. He nodded once, walked back to his truck, drove away without turning around. She stood there a while, let the porch boards hold her weight. The baby didn't move. She stepped back inside, carried her to the corner of the room where the cradle used to sit. The floor still bore the mark, slight, curved, dark where wood met fire in memory. She placed a folded blanket down, set the baby on top. The eyes never left her. She sat on the floor across from her. "You're not him," she said, "but you carry him." The baby didn't blink. "I won't run." The fire in the stove popped once. Not like he did outside. The wind stopped for good. Not paused. Not hushed. Gone. The barn didn't groan. The ash didn't lift. Even the trees stood still. The house settled around her. Quiet, but not empty. She stood, crossed the room, and opened the window. The cold drifted in, but no voices. No names. No threats. Just air. She returned to the baby. Picked her up again. I felt the weight settle like it always belonged there. The house exhaled. The floor no longer creaked under her feet. The rafters didn't twitch. She sat in the old rocking chair, the one Caleb built with nails bent from the fence after the first flood. The baby curled into her chest, still watching, still awake, still unblinking. She didn't mind. "I'll name you when it's time," she whispered. "And it'll be mine, not his." The baby breathed once, then closed her eyes. First time. She rocked her through the morning. No one came. No letters arrived. The scarred woman didn't return. And in the stillness of the cradle's absence, the house remembered what it was before the fire, before the names, before watching, and it stayed quiet.